Why choose short-term rental investing over long-term rental investing? So I'll give you my personal reasons why I choose short-term rentals, and then you can make your own decision. And please, if you have long-term rentals, feel free, and you love them, feel free to put comments in the section below about why you love long-term rentals. Or if you prefer short terms, let us know. Or if you have any questions about short-term rental investing, please pop them in the comments below. Happy to help. So I personally have 2 short-term rental cabins in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, which is the #1 vacation market in the United States. So I prefer short terms for many reasons. One, from a tactical perspective, in my mind, if I have long-term rentals, I know at some point I will have to go through an eviction process to get tenants, non-paying tenants, out of my building. I personally don't want to go through that, so I would rather have cash coming in every month without that particular headache. So that's why I prefer short-term, because in a year, I have never had to evict any vacation or any guests in my cabin. When the vacation's over, they take their family and their pets and they just get out. So I love that part. Never had to deal with that. So, and the other part is with short terms, you're going to generate so much more top line revenue, sales on the growth side than a long term. So for instance, a long-term rental, some people, depending on where you're investing and how much the purchase price is, using the 1% rule, if you buy a property for $100,000, that's a single family, and you would expect, using the 1% rule, that you're gonna be able to rent it for at least $1,000. That would be the 1% rule. But then after the mortgage and debt servicing and any expenses, property management, whatever, you may net, let's say, $250 for the month. Larger property, you may net more. So long-term rentals, some people would be happy with renting and netting profit to them every month, maybe $250 to $1,000, and that fits their buckets. Personally, with a short-term rental in a really strong vacation market, you can gross top line, anywhere between, depending on the market, again, on the low side, 50,000, the high side, 250,000 plus. And then what you'll net after debt servicing, assuming you have a loan, and expenses on the low side could be anywhere between 10, 15, 20,000 for the year. High side might be 100,000 plus for the year, but I'll give you my personal experience. So I have 2 cabins, one Cora's cabin, named after my daughter, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It will gross in a year, this first full year, it will gross about $89,000, and which is on the low side for my expectations of where it is. And there are many reasons for that. I'll jump into it. But the first 3 months we didn't have it as pet friendly. We changed that in March, which has been a tremendous success for us. And then also we used it personally for 2 weeks of vacation for our family. So that was about $4,000 off the table there. And then at the very beginning, when I first started the journey, I didn't really understand occupancy and how to really manage my pricing calendar to increase occupancy to 70, 80, 90%. So January, February, my very first year in Cora's cabin, my occupancy was maybe 50 to 60%, depending on which month we're talking about, versus March all the way through now, it's been 70 to 80% plus since then. So next year, 2024, I expect Cora's cabin to gross about $105,000 or more, and the net on that will be roughly $38,000 into my bank account. And I just siphon that out every month. So that's why I love short-term rentals versus long-term rentals, because mainly there's no headache of evictions. The revenue is so much higher. And then lastly, for tax purposes. So using the short-term rental tax code, assuming you check all the boxes and you have an active business, you meet the qualifying hours, meaning if there are 7 different tests, material tests that the IRS allows on their website, but as long as you meet the criteria and it's an active business for you, that short-term rental where you're actively managing, the property manager isn't actively managing, you are actively managing it, you can take any losses from that property as active losses and offset your active income. So that is and also there's also bonus depreciation as well. So where you can take a bigger chunk in the first year. So for me, for example, last year for Cora's cabin, the purchase price was $694,000, I believe. And then well, I'll get into this in a different video as far as how it works, but basically I was able to deduct in year one, last year, again, about $209,000 roughly, I believe, against my active income. So essentially we paid zero taxes, federal taxes last year, 2022, legally, following the IRS's tax code. So separate video for all that. It's way more complicated. But that's why I love short-term rentals, because no headache of evictions, the revenue is so much higher, and the tax savings are so much more preferential because you can take them as active losses versus passive losses, which again, more detail, we'll get into that in a separate video. So that's why I love short-term versus long-term. If you love short-term rentals or long-term rentals, tell us why in the comments below. And if you have any questions about starting your short-term rental business or anything, choosing markets, feel free to leave that in the comments below. Happy to get back to you. And that way we can decide which videos to make in the future to serve you the best and help you in your long journey as an investor into real estate, whether that's short-term or long-term, syndications, whatever it is for you. So if I brought any value today or piqued your interest, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. We will be putting out content about short-term rental investing, as well as businesses. If you don't know, I own a national signing service where I hire notaries across the country to complete loan signings. Just think when you do a refi or you buy or sell a house, someone's coming to you with documents and walks you through them and notarizes all those documents. Our company facilitates that for our title company clients across the United States. So we'll get into business and how to grow and scale businesses, and whether that's a solopreneur or you have a team, we'll talk about all that. Mindset, so it's kind of a broad spectrum. So if you're interested in any of those topics, feel free to subscribe to the channel below, and looking forward to the next video.